The first sound that the community ever heard from Cold War Zombies was the infamous Juggernog perk jingle. After the negative reaction Treyarch received with their attempt to revolutionize the perk system in Black Ops 4, gaining back the community's trust was the topmost priority with the release of Cold War. However, Treyarch wasn't going to give up on innovating and progressing the perk system by simply reverting it to the old system out of fear of more backlash. No. Treyarch had different plans, creating a new perk system that revives the familiar feeling of the classic perk system, yet retains the essence of innovation that they wanted to achieve with a brand new perk system. So how well does Cold War's perk system resemble the classic perk system? Does it provide enough innovation to keep players engaged? Is it the best perk system we've ever seen in zombies? Good morning, beautiful people. Today, we're diving into the Cold War Zombies perk system. When developing Cold War's perk system, it was Treyarch's top priority to ensure that it gave the community the familiar feeling they had with the classic perk system. Treyarch did so in two major ways, the first and most obvious of which being the return of Juggernog and other classic perks. Simply by having the original perks like Juggernog, Speed Cola, and Quick Revive, Treyarch was able to give players some reassurance that this new perk system would be familiar in some way. The second thing Treyarch did was re-implement unique perk machines and perk jingles for each perk, physically within each map. This brought back character, style, and a unique tone that many players believed to be missing from the Black Ops 4 perk system. These two changes were seemingly enough for the community to accept and embrace this new perk system, so Treyarch was successful in their attempt to win back the community's trust. Which is kind of weird, because outside of Juggernog and Speed Cola returning, perk jingles and physical perk machines being inside of each map, the Cold War perk system has little to no resemblance to the classic perk system that the community had fallen in love with in Black Ops 3 and prior titles. As someone who very much enjoyed the Black Ops 4 perk system, yeah, I know, but hey, if you want to talk about that perk system, go check out the hour-long video I have on it. Seriously, go check that video out. It's one of the best videos I've ever made. As someone who loved the Black Ops 4 perk system, I was relieved when I realized that Treyarch was still attempting to innovate and refine the perk system to make it even better than it was before. So how exactly did Treyarch do that? Perhaps the biggest change Treyarch implemented was a tiered level system for its weapon classes, ammo mods, field upgrades, and, of course, perks. This tier system allowed Treyarch to increase the strength, depth, and fun factor of each perk, and because they knew it would take players a fair amount of in-game time to be able to unlock every tier, they knew this system would be balanced, rewarding, and fun. For example, Speed Cola's base ability is a simple 15% reload speed increase, which isn't necessarily all that exciting or powerful. Yet, after its tier 5 upgrade, Speed Cola allows players to reload 30% faster, speed up the mystery box, repair window barriers faster, increase field upgrade recharge times, swap weapons faster, and fire and reload while sprinting. This system creates a wonderful positive feedback loop where the more players play the game, the more they upgrade, and after they upgrade, they want to play another game to check out how much more powerful their loadout has become. Having multiple layers of abilities for each perk obviously creates a depth that players get to experience after they've unlocked each tier, but these abilities are actually quite game-changing. There is a big difference once players have unlocked the maximum critical damage of Deadshot, or the increased armor durability of Juggernog, or the bonus elemental damage of Elemental Pop. Yes, these perks have depth, but because of that depth, it allows players to engage and interact with the game on a much deeper level as well, which is one of the best things that Cold War Zombies has going for it: deep and engaging gameplay. But that's not the only reason this perk system is well designed. Having multiple tiers of abilities allows Treyarch the freedom to implement minor perk abilities from previous titles into the current perks we have now. As previously mentioned, Speed Cola's tier 4 ability makes the mystery box spin faster, which was part of the time slip perk ability in Black Ops 4. Additionally, Elemental Pop's tier 5 ability is just Electric Cherry. This not only works from a player's perspective because it creates an uber powerful perk that is fun to use, But it also works incredibly well for the developers because now they don't have to create a brand new perk for every ability they come up with, which prevents players from being overwhelmed with a large pool of perks. And obviously creating brand new perk machines and jingles and logos all take a lot of work, so implementing a handful of abilities behind one perk helps the developer's workload as well. The second monumental change Treyarch made with the perk system was completely removing the perk limit that had been in place for the entirety of the zombie game mode. But why? The player's choice of only having 4 perks, or 5 in Infinite Warfare zombies, created a unique gameplay decision that made players choose which role or playstyle they wanted to implement. Wouldn't getting rid of that decision make the gameplay that much more boring and repetitive? On the surface level, that's a great perspective, one that I agreed with for a long amount of time. However, the developers have implemented several systems to retain the important decision-making process that keeps players engaged throughout the entire game. For starters, instead of each perk costing a set number of points, the point value of each perk the player purchases increases with every perk. This forces players to decide which perks they find most valuable and purchase them first, which emphasizes the importance of the order of the perks the player buys. This works very well in conjunction with the point system because points are now harder to come by, they are more valuable, which even further stresses the importance of making the correct choice in what perk to buy first, or maybe even sacrifice your perks for increasing your weapon's pack punch level, but we're not talking about the point system just yet. While the new point cost and point system work hand in hand in creating an interesting and engaging decision that players need to make, it still doesn't fill the role of the unique playstyle or roles players got to implement with previous perk systems. This is where I thought Black Ops 4 perk system shined, using Stone Cold Stronghold in combination with Bloodwolf Bite and Bandolier Bandit created a class specialized for camping. Using Ethereal Razor, Timeslip, and Stamina would be a class well suited for speedruns or daily challenges. I think, for the most part, Treyarch decided to de-emphasize the importance of playstyles within the mode and focus on more of an all-powerful player who could do it all, and leave it up to the player to utilize their own tactics. But I think they still left remnants of different playstyles in things like field upgrades. Clearly, Ring of Fire is designed very similarly to Stone Cold Stronghold, geared more towards camping. Frostblast is unmistakably reminiscent of Winter's Wail, one of my personal favorites in Black Ops 4, that greatly helps in tight training strategies when players got cornered or stuck. Then you have Healing Aura that is great for co-op, and Frenzied Guard that is great for high round players who want more ways of replenishing their armor and controlling the pace of the game. I could go on about these field upgrades and how I think Treyarch wanted them to fill the role of the playstyle picker in Cold War Zombies, and I think it would have worked out well, save for the fact that Ring of Fire is just so obviously the best one. Now, I don't think the other upgrades are all that useless. I actually think they're quite interesting and fun at times, but it's just so difficult to choose anything else other than Ring of Fire because of how powerful it is. I hope they never nerf Ring of Fire because it is just so fun. I hope they decide to buff the other field upgrades instead. Anyway, between the new point system and the field upgrades, I believe Treyarch tried to retain the engagement and decision-making process that players enjoyed about the classic perk system. Not having a perk limit also has some extraordinary benefits from a game design perspective too. The main benefit is going to be the nullification of Crutch Perks. Instead of trying to balance each perk so that they are of equal value and equal power, the developers can make any perk as powerful as they want because they know that every player has access to that perk no matter what. Furthermore, they can make gameplay balancing decisions based on the fact that every player should eventually have every perk. A great example of this would be the Super Sprinters. See, Black Ops 4 implemented Super Sprinters too, yet the community wasn't such a big fan because it meant that if you wanted to train, you would be forced to use Stamina in order to deal with the Super Sprinters' increased speed. With the perk limit, that seems unfair and unfun. With no perk limit, it's no big deal. Super Sprinters aren't an issue in Cold War because the developers know players will have stamina. Making zombies hit harder in later rounds isn't an issue because everyone will have Juggernaut. Making enemies have increased health isn't an issue because everyone will have Deadshot. Having no perk limit opens up the door to so many different possibilities and helps the developers avoid some of the limitations that previous perk systems had in the past. I I threw up a poll on my channel, and most of you beautiful people were in agreement that the Cold War perk system was your favorite, with the classic perk system coming in a close second. Personally, I've gone through a long back and forth on whether or not I think this perk system is really all that fun. Before Season 2 launched, this video was going to be about how I thought that these perks were boring and unfun. However, luckily with Season 2, we got a huge amount of replayability and depth with the 4th and 5th tier of these perks. With that update, we got some versions of Time Slip, Ethereal Razor, and Electric Cherry, which is hard to argue that is boring. Part of me really does miss the unique and interesting dynamics between the huge variety of perks that we had in Black Ops 4. But then a more logical and reasonable side of me realizes that we still have all of those abilities, even death perception being a part of Deadshot now, within Cold War Zombies. It's obvious to me that great care and attention went into developing this new perk system. It's something that no one ever suggested, it's simple, yet genius, and I absolutely love that. Is it the best perk system we've ever had? Probably, but I'll leave that for you guys to decide. So, players should be thankful to the developers when enjoying the Cold War Zombies perk system, as it is a system that everyone truly benefits from. Thank you all so much for watching and your constant support of this channel. I hope you are enjoying the content. If you are, be sure to leave a like on the video, join my Discord, and subscribe for more Cold War Zombies content. And as always, stay beautiful.